بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my brother and sister, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and a very good day to all of you joining us from different parts of the world. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to welcome you to this very important session on Takaful, and in particular on why Travel Takaful is not mainstream. Let me also welcome you and thank you for joining Halal in Travel Global Summit hosted by Crescent Rating. My name is Dr. Rizwan Malik, and I'm the Head of Standards Implementation and Strategic Developments at the Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions, the oldest and leading standard setting body within the global Islamic banking and finance industry, headquartered in Bahrain. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, any individual would like to protect himself against the anticipated risk and loss due to uncertain events resulting in loss of health or his valuables or possessions. These uncertain events could be in the form of accidents, thefts, disaster, death, or diseases. To protect against such risks, it is recommended or it is done through the insurance. In 1985, Majma al-Fiqh Academy made it very clear that the conventional insurance is not Sharia compliant, and only Takaful, Islamic insurance, which is based on cooperative and having charitable donation concept, is acceptable. The root word of Takaful comes from or is derived from the Arabic word called kafala, which means to guarantee or to mutually guarantee. Takaful is a unilateral, non-commutative, or a non-sales contract to mutually help, whereby people contribute or donate to mutually assist each other. There are three possible partnerships or contractual partnerships that happen in a takaful. There is a musharaka or a partnership among the participants, which leads to the establishment of a company. The company manages the administrative affairs as well as manages the investment of the funds. The investment of the funds is usually carried out through the Islamic mode of wakala or mudaraba, agency or a partnership contract. There is also a relationship between the policyholders and the fund, which takes the form of donation commitment. Of course, there are different underlying contract used in Takaful in different parts of the world. Most commonly used models are Mudaraba, Wakala, Waqf, and hybrid model. Since the pronouncement of Majma al-Fiqh Academy, the Islamic finance industry in general globally has developed many folds. As such, the Takaful industry has also developed. As we speak, there are a large number of Takaful companies in Muslim majority and Muslim minority countries. And at times, these are developing at a faster pace than their conventional counterparts. At the same time, conventional counterparts or conventional insurance organizations have shown strong interest by setting up their own takaful businesses, both as takaful as well as re-takaful businesses. The size of overall Islamic finance industry has reached around 2.93 trillion US dollars, and compared to it, the overall size of the takaful industry is only up 1% of it. It will not be wrong to say that the takaful indeed has not received the desired importance and recognition from the global industry. There are about 320 takaful operators operating globally in about 35 countries. Within takaful, of course, there are different products that are available, general takaful as well as family takaful. The topic for today's discussion falls under general takaful, and in particular, we will discuss why travel takaful has not been received the needed importance and acceptance. To discuss the topic, we have industry leaders within the takaful space, and I'm very pleased and honored to welcome them and share the stage, this virtual stage, with them. We have with us Mr. Rizwan Hussain, Managing Director and CEO of Salaam Takaful in Pakistan. And we have Mr. Shehan Feisal, CEO of Amana Takaful from Sri Lanka. Assalamu alaikum, welcome on board, gents.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Salaam. It's a pleasure to be here.
In the interest of time, we have some select questions that will be put forward to the two leaders, and I would request both of them to share their views on this. Moving on, let me move to the Takaful leader in Pakistan, Mr. Rizwan Hussain. Just opening question from your perspective. Based on your experience, what is the level of understanding amongst the masses of takaful products in general? And then you may want to add on travel takaful in particular.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rizwan. Thank you very much for inviting me. To be very specific, the cover industry globally, as you have mentioned, has not prospered. So the reasons are very simple. I mean, it's common sense. It's nothing, out of box kind of thinking required to kind of understand why the cover companies are not prospering. Historically, the cover companies globally predominantly have been uh, trying to get the business, trying to get most of the business from corporate clients, from SME, from commercial. They have not been focusing predominantly on the consumer, the retail customers. So that has been happening in Pakistan as well, Sri Lanka, Middle East, Far East, everywhere. And that is, to me, is a niche market because the already so many players, traditional insurance companies are working in that environment, in that space. So it's very difficult for new entrants to come and innovate and bring on new ideas and new products, provided keeping in mind that Takaful reinsurance capacities are not available in the market as well. So in the reinsurance or Takaful markets are not developed as such. So it was kind of very easy and very common understanding that if we go to the retail and consumer customers, it will be much more beneficial because the size of the market is huge. Number one, and number two, it is always exciting for professionals like us to innovate because Dr. Rizwan Malik must be having his own set of requirements as an individual customer. Shehan must be having some different. Me, at my stage of life, would be requiring different set of products, be it life or non-life products, insurance products or takaful products per se. So the mindset is very simple. I mean, we have to go for the retail, the consumer, the predominantly the huge market available. We all say that penetration is the lowest in Pakistan or elsewhere in the world for takaful because we have not been focusing mainly on the consumer. We have been focusing our efforts towards the SME and commercial. I'm not saying that we should not do this, but I think majority of our focus and energy should be focused towards consumers.
Excellent. That's really a very good take on this. In general, overall, the shift in the market or the focus of the market in particular to the target audience is changing. So this is very interesting to note. Brother Shehan, would you like to add to it?
Yeah, so thank you. First of all, let me say thank you for having me here as well. And I think Mr. Hussain has already laid and told what the actual need is, and he's very absolutely right. So what we all do is, I think, is go after the existing and try to compete with the conventional, but we all forget is to take the message across. And I think what is there is to reach the mass And to reach the mass, the what is most important is the awareness. And when you do that, it is through retail is what you can do. And I think that is where the lacking is, even if you take in terms of normal, the general side of products, or even if you say specifically, more specific here, even on the travel side, it is purely because people are not aware that, and they only take it because there is a need to take it, or because there is a visa requirement. But how many people do know that there is a travel product which is there to protect themselves? So I think it is a challenge upon all the couple companies, and probably where the success, where we all missed out, where the success story is taking it to the masses, and that is where I think the where the whole market is open, and it's an untapped market. And I think Mr. Hussain rightly said, as long as we can innovate and structure something which is equal and can be tailor-made to each person's requirement, I think then we are on the cups of achieving quite a success story for the entire Takaful industry.
I think this is really helpful, and I can totally relate to it. We travel all the time, and you rightly mentioned that how much focus is put in on the insurance part. Even though some airlines have actually made it part of the booking process and have integrated the process so much, we still try and skip that part at times. So I think that part is very important. Can I, if I may, ask, Brother Shehan, and then on to Mr. Rizwan as well, based on experience, first on the maybe on in your local markets, what is the level of understanding of travel takaful in particular, and do they regard it any important?
Uh, so, if I were to just continue from where it was to your question again, uh, the level of importance has to be taken, and I think that's where the awareness and education, where the takaful companies, I would say, and all other insurance companies would need to do. And like what we need to understand, the travel, there is potential to grow, but have we the number of people who are traveling, it's in millions, but how many actually do insure? And a lot of them do take it because it's a visa requirement, and it is part of your documentation process is why they take it. So I think Dr. Malik, you also said rightly, is some companies do integrate it onto the systems, but is that across the globe, across all islands, across all countries? And how far is a customer taking it? And a lot of them opt out because they always look at the cost factor. But then again, the cost factor is actually a fraction of even the ticket cost. I mean, so I think it's about awareness. And I think awareness is something which is very, very important, and educate the people the importance of having a travel, whether it's a takaful or a conventional travel policy, and taking it forward. But and the only thing which I would like to add at this point to say is one good thing which probably I would say is out of the pandemic probably is, and we also see with the globe, the markets opening out for countries opening out and travel. There we see from a Sri Lankan perspective, what we did see until the crisis hit us over a month or so ago, is there was an uptick of on the requirement for a travel policy. Again, purely because it was a requirement that these countries had, that they needed a travel policy to enter. So I think that is where the challenge is. While there is a requirement, how do we also make it known and the awareness for the people to understand it is a protection which they have against, whether it's a medical or a health, sudden health calamity, or anything which is of their valuables which are being affected.
Rizwan, would you like to add to what Brother Shehan has just added, and then in particular, what needs to be done on the awareness part from both the regulators as well as market players yourselves?
Well, Rizwan, to be, very frank, and I would be very bold that it's all about value. I mean, I was just talking to before you joined that I was traveling to US and UK, and I went for Umrah in Ramzan as well. Uh, for me, I took the policy, and obviously, because I understand that there is always a requirement. I should be taking the travel takaful with myself for me and my family. But let's be very frank that if you go and you take a policy and you, let's say you give, X amount of money as premium, and then you complete your trip and then you come back and nothing happens, and even sometimes you take yourself, online, the travel insurance along with the ticket, or maybe your tour operator, your tour travel agent embed the travel takaful, your travel insurance in your ticket price. You don't even know at sometimes that who is the service provider. So, let alone that the value you can get out of this $10, $20 policy once you complete your journey. So, what's the value in it for you? Nothing, you see. And you say, once you come back, oh, I mean, it was $20 for the $50 expense, or it went in vain. So, you see, I mean, you did not get any value, to be honest. You didn't even know who was the insurance your cover provider was. So, let's go back and, I mean, I'll just share you with our journey. We thought we just think like that. So in our company, we try to develop a culture. Then first of all, we ask ourselves, or our product team, that do we really need this product? Why would I buy this product? Because it's Islamic? No. We should create the value first, and then after, in the end, we should say it is Islamic. It is, Sharia compliant. That should be the last USP to be explained to the customer. You know, so at least we tried. We will now, if you get a policy from our company, you get an SMS, you get a message. If you are our customer, you happen to download our app, so you get 24/7 online doctor, for any medical emergencies. And then we are adding in another value that in, I think, 82 countries, you can physically visit to a doctor. Already, you can talk to the doctor, and you can go to the doctor in case of any emergency, or any case of you need a doctor. So something to give to the consumer, so they should see the value that, okay, I have spent $20, and then, it is not in vain. Has not gone somewhere in the air. So this is the value, or any value. I mean, but you have to think out of the box, that what can I create a value for someone like Dr. Rizwan, maybe, someone like who is a bachelor, or someone, the students who are going for, to travel, or traveling abroad for education. So this is something, I mean, if you don't create the value for the consumer, it is the awareness part comes next. Once you create a product, that obviously needs to be, made available for the masses. Now it's easy because of the social media, and because of the internet. And then obviously COVID has kind of, triggered risk related kind of awareness as well, that you need, travel insurance, because of the COVID as well. But having said that, COVID is over now. I mean, now what? So I mean, for the last year, maybe you wanted travel insurance because of COVID, but COVID is kind of, it is not something which is going on in a way like it has happened. It has been happening for the last 2 years. So the point I'm trying to, say here, that if we don't create, as the takaful providers, the value the consumer sees in our product, it will never take off. It will never take off. We need to create the value, and then we need to provide convenience, and ease of acquiring the policy. I mean, it should be the seamless process. I mean, it's just, what you call the minimum clicks on the mobile phone to get a policy. See, so that type of values, if you digitize your operations, if you innovate, only then I think the new generation, the Generation Z, would see a value in your products.
Just I think I'm really enjoying the points that Mr. Rizwan mentioned. I'm so sorry for the connection issues here. um, I think the 2 points that he just mentioned, one is the value and the other one is risks. I think are very important points. Either you make people worry about what they can lose, or you show them enough value that they can take the risk. Important of being not able to take the travel takaful when I travel from one country to the other. So inshallah, hopefully from now onwards, I should focus more on that part instead of just skipping that option. So I just want to move to brother Shehan now very quickly. maybe I think there's a role that market players have as well. Maybe you can add a little bit on that part, and then you can move on to the role of the regulator in particular.
So I think again, I think Mr. Hussain has clearly outlaid it. So I think, like I said, travel. A lot of the people do not see, they don't see value in insurance. So hence why the retail segment, if you really take, do not look at these products, or they don't understand the value, what they can gain out of having these products. So I think it is important that all players, take it upon to basically understand the needs and customize and tailor make products, and give the right value proposition. So I think that's a challenge which everybody would have, but and that is something is we all need to work hard upon. From a regulatory perspective, I think what they would need to do is make things which is conducive for the insurance companies to also be able to have the flexibility to, uh, I mean, take these. I think depends on the country, I would also say, and the type of player, how far. So I think while you look at trying to give your products locally, and in order to reach the mass, to allow certain companies to be able to take their value proposition on a global platform itself. So I think in terms of that, enabling laws which are digitally to cater to the digital platforms being set up and to be accepted, sorry, globally, etc. So I think that is something which we will all need to and look at. But I think more than and also from a regulatory perspective, the other thing is the also as a regulator take the message to the mass to show the importance of insurance. So I think in addition to the insurance players doing and taking the message across, I think it'll also be important that the regulator emphasizes the need, and so I think those, so they go hand in hand. So I think it's something which we all have to do together.
Wow, I think this is really fascinating. I'm really enjoying and learning and benefiting from this with these very important points I've never thought about. Thank you very much for sharing these. Moving on, Mr. Rizwan. When we talk about the perspective of the regulators, um, do you think in your local market are they doing enough to facilitate the business?
Yeah, Rizwan, actually, the regulators are, to me, expecting, uh, I think globally, as the insurance companies or the government companies to come forward and present them the ideas and the innovative part to execute what they want to execute. The value that they are trying to create for the consumer or their customers. So I think in Pakistan, regulators are very, accepted frame of mind. They always welcome that whatever new innovation and the ideas you can bring on for the customers, for the larger good of the consumers, they welcome that. And it's very conducive to me. Recently, the regulators launched a sandbox program for insurance companies, and we entered the sandbox program. We were the only Takaful company to have this. Agriculture parametric solution for farmers. We were accepted as a sandbox pilot project by the regulator, and we have started working on that pilot project. So I think in Pakistan the conditions are very conducive. It's all about the operators and the insurance companies. How do they take it forward and take along the road, the regulator, because uh, regulator is only interested, to be honest, to expand the market and to create favorable conditions. They just can't kind of give you ideas and the innovations the consumers required. They can only enable an environment. So I think in Pakistan they are doing a great job.
This is perhaps really interesting to note. And the key, it's very fascinating to learn that the support of the regulator is provided, and the regulator is a forward-thinking one, which is what the market players require, to the best of my understanding. Brother Shehan, are you equally pleased with your regulator?
Yes, so our regulator also, to answer your question, is yes, we are, but I think from a perspective, there is a lot they could do also in order to make the market a little bit more conducive. So I think as of late, so I think in terms of taking the digital platforms further, I think there is a lot the regulator can do. So I'm happy that unfortunately in Sri Lanka, there is a lot the regulator can do. And with the I mean, in terms of taking the message or setting up a conducive market for the insurance companies to do. So I think in terms of that, there is a lot of advancement they will need to do, is my perspective, or the experience we've had here with in the Sri Lankan framework.
Thank you very much. This is really interesting. Now, perhaps we would like to benefit from some of the case studies. Perhaps first from Mr. Rizwan and then from Brother Shehan. Mr. Rizwan, are there any important case studies from the Travel Takaful that you can share with our stakeholders here today?
Yes, Rizwan, there is very interesting and innovative kind of thinking for our product team on the travel side. So we have just launched a pilot project. It is something which is created by our own team and one of our partners in UK on a parametric solution kind of thing. So it's a very interesting product that once one of our consumer or one of our participant or customer buys a travel policy, it's he starts getting free updates on whether his or her travel itinerary, the flight times, before flight, receiving the message that the flight is 2-3 hours down the line, and then getting to the journey, and then they receive a message that the weather is how much is the weather is doing, where the travel customer is going, and then if they download our apps, they can access our doctors 24/7, our in-house doctors, which we manage ourselves, and then if the flight gets delayed, they just before even the flight is announced, they get a flight delay compensation in their account, which is based on parametrics, and they just don't require any filling the forms or claim forms or something like that. So it's a seamless journey, and once they reach the journey, the destination, they can start accessing our international panel of doctors whom they can visit. I mean, I think 82 countries. That pilot is kind of, we have just started with one of our international partners. Uh, uh, so this is something very, it has never been done before in Pakistan. Or I think even in globally, it has not been done before, in travel insurance space, because uh, travel insurance, travel the couple space is it's a very low ticket size kind of premium, and normally the insurance companies don't kind of invest. So we have invested heavily in technology as well as human capital, and we have made collaborations world over. I was recently in last month in UK, last week in US. So we are making a lot of collaborations because for the travel insurance, you just can't sit in isolation in your country, and you can add value once the traveler is going in 180 or 200 countries out of your country. So the travel insurance should be loaded with value additions and solutions which can be catered in any country in the world as well.
Excellent. Wow. This is really forward thinking approach of the business, and inshallah we wish you the best. um, Brother Shehan, would you like to share something similar of interest as well, please?
All right. So so that's I think from Mr. Hussein's point of this thing, that's a very, very interesting, and I think it's unique to hear what things are done, and I think that is the way forward. But let me flip the other side and say, so if I were to take in terms of how travel insurance has actually, in terms of a case study where it has benefited a customer. So I think while we propose value in order to entice a customer to buy the travel, but we also need to show is the benefits they receive once they have it, and if they have it. Like what you rightly said, Dr. Malik, sometimes you do buy it and then you end your journey, and sometimes you wonder, I paid $10 for a journey and I never had. And sometimes people, that's why they don't look at it again, because whether they think twice about, say, am I going to have or incur anything, or is it just another waste of spending $10 of buying just a travel policy? But I think what people also need to understand, what I would like to highlight, is the fact how many people have benefited by having a travel insurance in their hands. So I'm taking the flip side of things. A lot of people do take it, and I can clearly give you many instances where people really took, like I mentioned earlier, where they bought the travel policy purely because it was a need for them to get their visa process done, and not because they bought it in terms of protection itself. But and there have been instances where customers or clients who have actually, while in that holiday or wherever the business trip they were in, they've fallen sick. Sometimes they have been minor, sometimes they have been major, and they've realized the importance and how the whether it's a takaful or insurance product has come in, and how it has helped them to pay, whether it's the hospital bill or even in the event that they've lost any of the documents, how the insurance or the takaful companies were able to help them out in meeting the costs of getting the documents replaced. So I think that is another thing which we need to educate the people, is the benefit they get by having this policy, and people don't realize it until it is. So I think the case study which we've had is where a situation where the person bought it for that, and then he had a sudden heart attack, and I think he was in hospital for over a week, and the hospital bill was not really cheap. So didn't he have this policy, he wouldn't have. Paying this would have not been easy, and getting himself discharged. But I think having a takaful or an insurance, travel insurance, I think a $10 insurance ended up paying a couple of $1,000s of medical bills. So I think that is the other important fact, and I thought I would take the other side of it and say the benefits of what people have. So this is just one instance, and how their financial burdens can be taken care of should a sudden unforeseen event occurs.
Yes, I think Islamic banks are one of the distribution channels the couple company can always shake hands with and to distribute the products. The challenge in this travel insurance space is that it's a very low ticket size kind of product, and normally the banks kind of they would like to distribute the insurance products or the cover products. They see it as a revenue generating products for them as a distributor. So yes, these partnerships and collaborations can be explored and should be explored. Bankers normally don't see enough value in this thing, that because it's not something for a huge kind of revenue stream earning kind of products. But yes, they can embed and bundle. They can share the cost from their pocket, and there is possibilities which I think the cover companies and the banks should explore together.
So I think through banks there is a possible amount of partnerships, and I do think a lot of the companies do have, and I think certain players are in that space already, especially giving tying up with the banks and giving these travel products, whether it's you're a credit card holder or whether you're a premium customer. But I think, like rightfully, like Mr. Hussain said, these are very, very small ticket sized items. So, so it all depends on how much your partner is, how much they find the requirement of seeing the value of selling it because the revenue streams are not very big. So the concentration or the effort put from a banking perspective is could be less. So, but I think having said that, it is from an insurance perspective opportunity to penetrate the market, to send the message across to the customer base of the banks and give this as a value proposition. But I think in addition to the banks, I think there are many other avenues of partnership streams which the other companies or Takaful companies and the insurance companies find value through. So I think in addition to banks, I think there were multiple partnerships which will happen to get the best out of it. But definitely, yes, bank partnerships and Takaful or Islamic banks are areas where we are strongly work with in order to promote Takaful or any other related matter of products itself.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shehan. I've got another question, something different, but something I learned some time back about bank assurance, etc. And again, a question to put forward, where perhaps maybe this is something that you're already doing. Just wanted to understand, Mr. Shehan and Mr. Rizwan, how about partnering up with Islamic banks to reach the target audience? Sometimes the banks provide travel insurance or takaful as a benefit. Is this something being done in the takaful space as well? I've seen it in the conventional space where if you open a bank account with a certain bank, as part of the benefits, they give you travel takaful. So, are you thinking along the lines? Have you, is this something being done along the lines in the takaful space as well?
So just to this thing, fintech, to answer the question, Dr. Malik, fintech, I think that is the way forward. But I think fintech has been, and insurtech has been something which has been there. From a Sri Lankan perspective, we are just getting on board, and that is something which we are trying to work on and go. But I think Mr. Hussain should be able to. I think he's well experienced in that area. But I think that is a way forward, and Takaful has a lot of scope, because I think from a Takaful perspective, I think we've been a little slow on getting onto that bandwagon. But I think that is a niche area which is there, and we should have many digital products which are targeting toward the direct sales per se. So how do we make all these retail people to be able to purchase these products easily? And these should be customizable. Even if I, for example, say take the travel, I think we should come out of the box of being the standard travel and be able to give the flexibility to the customers of being able to choose what they want and customize the product they want. I want this much of medical cover. Can I enhance my baggage cover? I find this adequate. Not so. I think that is the level of improvement or technology we need to get into, and InsurTech is definitely going to help in that area. And I think I'm, of course, I'm very optimistic in terms of, or very positive in terms of being seeing InsurTech is going to be the future, and we need to be on that bandwagon.
Excellent. This is what I wanted to hear in terms of the way the approaches, the different approaches that we take to target the stakeholders, and to ensure that they come within the remit of the takaful industry, inshallah. Moving on, I think fintech is the talk of the town, and I'm sure you would agree that this is something that we need to leverage on. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on the enhanced role of fintech, how it can be leveraged in this day time, and if there are any efforts already underway. Maybe perhaps Mr. Rizwan first, and then Mr. Faisal.
So I think yes, obviously fintech, insurtech is something which is kind of is not now only a buzzword. It is happening. It is happening. So basically, it's all about the products and the ideas and the process. IT would follow that. It can't be the horse before the cart or cart before the horse. The process, and as the Shehan mentioned, the flexibility. The product and the flexibility you provide to the consumer, and then you build on for that capacity for your IT and your systems. So the technology comes later. First, the idea and the innovation and then the process you're trying to define for your consumer. So insurtech is just like that. So what we have been doing here at Salaam Takaful is just like that. We are trying to redefine the product and the process, and the technology is following it up, because uh, the product team and the design team design something for the consumer, and then they kind of create an ecosystem to deliver that type of experience to the consumer. So that experience needs to be understood in a real time kind of thing. And technology is just an enabler. That's about it. But the real time, the real time of I would say span on the design and the idea and the innovation is much more than the technology. Technology is just an enabler. And I think this insurtech and tech would require more and more, flexibility and adaptability from the takaful and insurance companies, which unfortunately, as happening in other industries as well, not only in takaful or insurance, even in banking or in financial sector, other industries as well, the legacy systems are not geared enough to provide that flexibility. So I think that there's a huge opportunity. We see it as an opportunity. That this is an opportunity because that can create a scale which can take these minos and this kind of the small takaful companies to the level of the gas, such as global players like the traditional big conventional players. So it can provide a window for the takaful companies to tap on that opportunity, and can compete with the global players around the world.
Thank you very much. This has been a really fascinating session for me personally. Just before we close, any final remarks from both brothers?
So I think I would like to thank Crescent Lanka and Dr. Rizwan uh, for having us and inviting me to be part of this session. So it was indeed a pleasure, Mr. Hussein. It was indeed a pleasure to meet you and see you again and talk to you. So
Thank you, Shehan, and thank you, Dr. Rizwan, for providing this opportunity to showcase me and our company on this platform. And we are all here to for any kind of discussion some other time. We are always here for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Faisal, Mr. Rizwan. It has been indeed a pleasure for me to be your moderator for this very important session, as part of as part of the Halal in Travel Global Summit, hosted by Crescent Rating. Um, I have truly enjoyed this session. I personally has received some insights that I've never heard before, and it's very fascinating to hear some of the work that both organizations are undertaking and the leaders that are leading from the front. I understand the needed shift in the focus from a more corporate side to more retail side in terms of strategy, to cater for more people and more stakeholders, certainly in particular, certainly in the Muslim majority countries in particular, as well as others. I've also heard the efforts that are underway both by the regulators as well as the marketplace like Salaam Takaful as well as Amana Takaful, on enhancing awareness and understanding of Takaful, and in particular Travel Takaful. I've understood I've also benefited what Mr. Rizwan highlighted, how we have to emphasize on the value creation rather than just Sharia compliancy, which of course is a prerequisite for any Sharia or any Sharia any product within the Islamic finance space. But we also have to cater for the value addition, and I think this is really important for me to hear, as well as it was very fascinating to learn some of the partnership that Salam Takaful in particular has been undertaking, and and the forward-looking approach that the leader has from that perspective, as well as the initiative that you have on the digital space. So I on behalf of the organizers and myself, I wish you the best in all your endeavors, and inshallah, we hope that you succeed, the Travel Takaful market succeed, and hope that the 1% share or the market share of Takaful increases manifold to cater for the growing Muslim population, and of course others as well, because Takaful is just like Islamic banking is not just for Muslims. So I myself I'm very thankful for you to you to for sharing your insights. It has been truly a learning experience for me. I thank you very much. I also would like to thank Crescent Ratings for inviting me to host or moderate this session. And it has been truly learning experience for me personally. So ladies and gentlemen, we have we come to the end of this session, but we have a number of other interesting sessions that will be there throughout the day, and please do log in and join those sessions as well. We wish you the best, inshallah, and we wish you safety and wellness wherever you are, inshallah. And we look forward to being again on with Crescent Rating, inshallah, in the future on more in a physical manner. So with that, thank you very much. Jazakumullah khair. uh, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.